Okay, so let's start this session. So good afternoon again, everyone, and it's my great honor to be your moderator. For today, I'm Giselle. This session is meant to be a very interactive one, okay? The idea is that it is a think out of the box session where we are asking for all the participants to come together with the facilitators to really brainstorm the two scenarios that have been given. For this room, our two scenarios are, just pulling them up, right? We have a beach cleanup as the overall project. So what we try to do is identify projects that we have all done, or most Rotaract clubs have done, but how can we do it better? How can we turn it on its head? How can we be more interactive? And then the second thing is to deal with a common Rotaract club problem, right? And that problem for this club is that, you know, we have a lot of ideas for projects. People maybe float a lot of ideas, but for some reason, we're not actually getting to implement because we don't have the buy-in from the membership. So our director comes and says, hey, let's plan this beach cleanup and stuff, and then everything goes silent, right? And then what happens? We cancel the project. Okay, so those are the two scenarios. So the outcome is that we're actually going to present to our wider audience after. We're going to go back to the main room and in 5 minutes, just share with them our solutions that we came up with. So I have the great honor of, we also need someone as well to be the presenter. So I hope we have some brave persons in this call. So I now hand you over to our two wonderful facilitators. We have our DGN, District Governor nominee, Brian Glasgow, who's out of St. Vincent, and we have our DRRN designate, Mr. Relinzo. Relinzo, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Is it here? Is it her? I just love it. I just love it. But yes, they will now take the floor. Over to you guys.
Well, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi. I'm Brian, and thanks for the nice introduction, Giselle. I joined actually from the beginning of the sessions this morning, and I think just the way that the sessions have been going will give us enough of what we need to be able to deal with our particular assignment. But for, you know, before we get into the meat of it, let's think a little bit about what is meant by thinking outside of the box. I mean, I have difficulties thinking inside of the box. So let's start thinking about what outside of the box means. And like everybody else in my position, I would just Google what outside of the box means. And I did that. So the consensus of the description means to think differently, to think unconventionally, or to think from a new perspective. And it all boils down to novel or creative thinking. So we are asked now to look at the two projects that Giselle mentioned, not from the traditional or conventional point of view, but from a creative thinking approach. Now, before we start going outside of the box, let's look at what a conventional approach to a project like beach cleaning would be, for instance. And typically what we would do is use a standard project management approach, which means that we would break down the project into a number of phases. So typically the first phase would be what we call the project initiation phase, where we basically understand what the project is about and define who the stakeholders are. Now, in a beach cleanup project, I think we could appreciate who the stakeholders would be. It would be the people from the area in which the beach is situated. It would be environmentalists, for example. For example, if there's a turtle nesting site on the beach, these groups of people would also be stakeholders. If there are young people who use the beach for surfing, they would be stakeholders. Of course, the people who use it for sea bathing are stakeholders. So it's important to understand who the stakeholders are, and that would be part of the conventional approach. After the project initiation, we would go into what we call project planning. And typically and conventionally, when we do a project, even a simple project like a beach cleanup, planning is what takes up most of the time. This is where we put the project team together, decide, okay, who's going to be the group leader? What are we going to clean up? What are we not going to clean up? For example, I know in most of the Caribbean islands, I don't know about South American mainland, but most of the islands, we have issues with sargassum seaweed. So we might decide that, okay, we're going to clean up the trash like bottles, soda bottles or whatever, Coke bottles and so on, and leftover picnic items, but we are not going to trouble the sargassum seaweed because that is outside of our scope. So that would be part of the traditional way of planning a project. Who does what do we do, when do we do it, and what resources we need. And then the execution is actually doing the project. The execution is when we bring our team, a group of Rotaractors or Interactors or Rotarians, or a combination of the three. We go down to the beach and we clean up, we put everything in disposal bags and we leave. That is the execution. And of course, there's the project monitoring and control. And within there, for example, we would set targets for ourselves. We decide we clean in a half a mile of beach or 2 kilometers of beach or whatever. And we would normally assign someone from within the project group to monitor how the project is going. How are we going in relation to the amount of time we set ourselves? A lot of the country, we as Rotarians and Rotaractors exist, have problems, for example, with crime. So there might be some persons on the beach who we have to keep an eye on. That is part of the risk management process of the monitoring and control. And finally, we come to the project closure. That is when we finish, we pack up and we leave. So that's a convention.
Hey guys, I think we lost.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think it's a good time to segue because we do have the other Rotaractors here. Guys, based on what DGN is saying, I know we have a facilitator as well, our DRND, Relinzo. So Relinzo, I don't know if you want to guide them in coming up with some of these solutions.
Yes, of course. Quite blown away. Oh, he's out. First off, I'm gonna put my screen to gallery mode to see everyone. So how about we all just unmute our mics, and for those who can put on your camera so that we can start. So that I know that you guys are here. I see Jair, I see Sherwin, I see Forisha, Nikita, Chin Tracy. Are you guys here? Hi.
Hello.
Hello. We have Felicia. Okay, that's one. One down.
Don't mind my noise in the background. The person next door is doing some construction work. So
No
there's a lot of.
problem. No problem. As for the others, Nikita says hi in the chat. Can you also speak? Nice picture of your marriage, I think. Your wedding. The others, Tracy, Jair, Sharon.
Hi.
Sure,
You cannot.
muted. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Too much background noise. We don't mind. But this session would it's a brainstorm session to think out of the box. So I think it would be better if at least most of us can unmute and speak. For the others who cannot do that, we can write in the chat. I'll also open a document here so that we could brainstorm on it. DGN was talking about, let's talk about the conventional way. So for those who have already done a beach cleanup, I want us to write down how it has been done before, the specific areas, and then we go on from there. Okay, this has been done before. How do we create it in another way? How do we innovate this part? All right, so which one of you guys have already done a beach cleanup or has participated in a beach cleanup or helped plan a beach cleanup? Talk to me. I'm all ears.
Good afternoon again. Hi, Rolenzo. Sorry
Hi,
I
Brian.
got cut off.
No problem.
I have some internet challenges, but great to see things flowing smoothly. Thanks a lot.
No problem at all. So we just at the point where we just asking the participants to give their input so that they would be ready for their 5-minute presentation at the end of the session.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone would like to share? Oh, Carissa, go ahead.
Okay, so I have not taken part in any beach cleanup campaign. However, for my club, which is the Rotaract Club of Georgetown, I am the community service director elect for the new year. So I am planning to have such an initiative in my year. So how I plan on going about it thus far is to have a planning committee. Well, I have not really structured the planning, but this is just an oversight of how I plan to have it executed. Primarily around the seawall area in our district, have been set up with branding stuff from people, from businesses that we would have partnered with, have their business logo, our club logo, have an active group of people who are willing to come out early in the morning, perhaps on a weekend, and actually partake in having the cleanup campaign done, because it cannot be done with just 2-3 persons. It will need, a vast amount of persons on board with us. So I planned on having the business partners with us in terms of offsetting the club expenses and to cater for like refreshments, garbage bags, cleaning equipment like dustpans, and those sort of things.
All right. Thanks for sharing. I wrote most things down. Anyone else wants to share how they've experienced the beach cleanup in the past? Please share them so that we can move on from that point. Anyone?
I'll share.
People from the island? Yeah, Sharon.
So I'm from Rotaract Club of Antigua. I've been a part of a couple of beach cleanup, but not been on the committee of any of those or the planning committee. But I think they just decided on which beach people more frequently visit and people frequently leave their trash on. And then from that, we decide a time and a date to go and then invite the members to come. That's most I can say about that.
All right. So if I'm understanding correctly, please let me know if I'm wrong. Beach cleanup, you just choose or decide on which beach has the most attendees during a period of time, and then you guys go and just clean up the beach. There are some expenses such as refreshments, cleaning stuff, bags to put in the trash, etc. And that's the beginning, and then the end of the project. That's it. Correct? If I'm not mistaken. Is there anything else that goes on?
Okay. So also add to this, we can perhaps have like during the cleanup campaign, after cleaning up, we can have like these signboards: "Do not litter here."
Signboard, that's a good one.
Yeah, so at least persons would know after we clean up, if you're coming to a safe environment, a clean environment, not to litter here. Use the bins that we'll be placing there.
Okay, can I ask you? I'll just ask a question. In any of the projects that any of the participants have been involved in, have you encouraged non-Rotaractors to participate, like members of the public, beach users, and so on, or is it always strictly Rotaractors that are part of the beach cleanup team?
It can be open to the public, so anyone could. More persons, the more merrier the cleanup will be.
All right. So it can be open, but that's not preferred. It's preferably an internal project, not an internal, but for members to attend and to help out. You don't usually attract the public to come and help clean the mess, the own mess they made. Am I correct?
No, but in a sense, like, okay, if I'm in the club and I have like my brother or my sister or a friend or someone who would want to accompany me, because remember, we usually share flyers or so on in public. This is an ongoing project. So if somebody approaches to say that they want to be an advocate for this and they want to participate, yes, we would accept them to be a part.
All right, perfect. Okay. So a pretty straightforward project, if you'd ask me. I think very easy to plan and execute. And it's an annual project, such as you guys are saying. Well, beach cleanup days, always some cost alignment. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so how can we make this more impactful and more, let's say, fun to do? For the ones who have not done this before, I think I haven't heard Jair yet. Nikita, what do you think we could add to this already established project? It works every time, I think, but we can make it more innovative and more creative. So what can we add? Let's start with Nikita. You could type or you could speak. And Jair, I haven't heard you guys, so please let us know. Let's start from there.
DRND. Lorenzo, sorry. A quick one. So before that person speaks, just something I thought about. So instead of just taking up the trash, you could make it innovative by, so anything that can be recycled, like recyclable items, you can put them in a separate container. So that way you're tracking the amount of items that can be recycled versus trash. So that's one way to put an innovative spin on just a standard beach cleanup.
I definitely agree. I like it. Anybody got that?
That's something indeed. I didn't really think about that one. Like bottles and so on, we can use them to recycle and to incorporate in other projects as well.
Yes. Sherwin also put in the chat just now, which I think is really, really cool. He said that they were actually able to track the type of trash collected, and they did that through an app.
Again, could you repeat that, Giselle?
Yes, I said that Sherwin said it in the chat that they also used an app to track what type of trash was collected during the beach clean. So they use technology to assist with, I guess, how much plastics, how much glass, how much metal, food. That's pretty cool as well. And also to add, in a beach cleanup I was involved in, we also weighed the trash that we collected so that it wasn't just about cleaning, but we were actually able to give metrics and measurements as to what was removed from the beach, right? And by what date, and to also show a before and after. So you're actually able to show and measure the impact of what you're doing.
Right. Just a question for Sharon. When you track which trash, what type of trash are being collected, what do you do with this information afterwards? Do you publicize it?
Well, we just posted on our social media page what we collected. And also we internally use the information to see like if the ban that the country did on styrofoam is actually effective. Styrofoam and plastic. So you can see that, okay, these stuff are not present in our beaches anymore.
Okay.
But
all right. I also like what Nikita said in the chat. A before and after competition where they can create an art piece to depict the before and how the beach was and will be. I like that. I like that. Art piece can compromise. Yes. So if you put it together, wait, before we continue any further, we have to assign someone to present this in the big group. So feel free, not everyone at once. But I'm just compiling everything you guys are saying. A art piece comprised of the recycled material. That's a good one. That's a good one. What else? I haven't heard Tracy yet.
No, Tracy recorded the session for us.
Oh, excusez-moi.
Has anyone, sorry about that, I keep cutting in and out because I'm having some really bad internet problems. But earlier on, someone mentioned, turning it into a fun event. Is that something that could be used to make it more of an enjoyable activity, with music and
Yes, I think what he was trying to say, I haven't a whole activity with it. I was thinking the same too with music and a band or DJ. I don't know. For people to have fun. It's a beach, so why not? So we could add that. If you guys could add that. Hold on. Let me put it down here. Yeah. Concept type.
Okay, guys, just mentioning that we do have to get to the next scenario because we have to jump off here in 15 minutes.
15 minutes to the main room.
Okay, have we agreed on a presenter yet?
Till we go to the main room. We have the second scenario to do, which is the one on club. No feedback or buy-in from members on project planning. I see the ideas still fluid, so the kids are coming with new ideas there, but just reminding us that we do have the second topic as well to go through.
Okay, well, why don't, if any more suggestions come in on the beach project, put them in the chat. And Rolinzo, why don't we go ahead to the next item, the next topic?
Sure thing. Sure thing. Giselle, should we appoint someone or we just leave it for them to volunteer?
We would hope that they would volunteer, but so far it's only shown Farisha could unmute it. So it may be boiled down to one of them, unfortunately, the luck of the draw. That maybe one of them two may have to share on behalf of the group. And they're very lucky that they have you taking their notes for them.
All right, so between Farisha and Greenage, be ready. We will have a decision by the end of the second one. Going to the second topic. Hold on. Yes, no feedback, buy-in from members on project planning and resulting in canceled projects. 15 minutes, let's do this. And like we did with the first, I first want to hear from you guys if you've experienced this. Say you were planning a project, etc., but there was no buy-in from the other members, which resulted in the project being canceled. Anyone experienced this? Please talk to me. Nope. No
Can you
canceled
repeat
project?
my question, please?
Of course. So when planning a project, etc., you usually ask for feedback on the project from your members, directors, etc. But it doesn't come, which results in the project being canceled. Anyone experienced that before?
And I have not experienced to this extent, but what I have experienced is that we had a planning committee and we tried to execute a project to some extent, but in terms of like having persons on board with us, in terms of collaborating with us, like assisting us with providing the resources, it wasn't to, okay, to be clear, so I'm a new member in the Rotaract Club of Georgetown, a new Rotaractor. So we're assigned with a project. It was supposed to be pulled off like today, but we did not have much responses in terms of having persons to contribute items towards the project. So it had to be pushed back. So we're now seeking alternatives in terms of having other persons on board with us to facilitate the items, like to contribute the items, so we can be able to pull out the project. So there's a planning committee, there's a proposal, there's this what we want to do for the project, but in terms of actually having the items, that's where the hiccup is, causing the pushback.
Okay, so it's something external and not really internal that is causing the pushback, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so nothing internal has occurred till now. Okay, you're a new member, so you haven't experienced it yet, or I hope not. Correct. In the future. Okay, perfect. Let's just read what Nikita had said in the chat. The PD director, it happened, hard to get feedback from the committee members in time and manner on the planning of the project, and was canceled as a result of that. Okay. Let's take this project, for example, this professional development project. Was it a business affairs? Was it a speaker that was going to present at a meeting? What kind of PD project was this? And then we could go on from there. It's how we could resolve it for the future. Nikita. It's a project based on learning sign language. Such a beautiful project. Sign language. And to be clear, all external parties were all in, they bought in. It was just the internal motivation from the members to buy in or give feedback or help with the planning that caused this project to not continue. Correct, Nikita? Okay, perfect. I will give a slight example of what we did or when I was president. We had planning committees, of course, directors and committees. And we set something called letting it fail, because some clubs, my club, for example, we have spoiled members, very spoiled, because they know the board will jump in when things don't go right. So if it doesn't go left, then let the board just jump in. Then we decided we will not jump in. This is your responsibility. Let's see how it turns out. when we put this mentality on them, because we give them the feeling that they're fully responsible of whatever happens, and that also the image of the club, the image of this project, the image of the club with stakeholders will depend on them executing it correctly. Because they always relied on the board, they just said, nah, if it's not going well, just let the board jump in. When we took a step back and let them feel all the pressure, not in a very cruel sentence, but just let them feel all the pressure. They started to notify and to experience, oh, this is my responsibility, and let's just buy in for us and the project and the club and the community to let this project succeed. So that's one thing we did. We told them we will let it fail because everybody has to at least in some time take their own responsibility for things. But that may be a whole other thing to implement, having the let it fail strategy. It works with us. I don't know if this is an option for the projects we do. For the members to experience that they have responsibility. We have to give them the responsibility, and we have to let them buy in for the responsibility. Because if they feel like their input is not being appreciated or something like that, they won't buy in. So there's always a root cause why members, etc., are not buying in or giving feedback. Sometimes they don't feel like their feedback counts, etc. So that's one way to look at it. But we don't have to dig that deep. For now, let's look at what can the outcome be. If you guys are following what I'm saying, I feel like I've been all over the place or not. You guys are following? Yes?
Lorenzo, I think, what you've just said is an experience that most clubs, Rotaract, Rotary clubs experience. And I think you've identified the way in which it's sensible to deal with the issue. If there is a problem with communication, make sure the people who are not really actively communicating, give them some responsibility and encourage them to communicate and to participate. So I found that has worked. I'm not sure whether other clubs have similar experiences.
Yeah, perfect. It's a great example also. For example, we had a director who was the planning chair. He executed, he did everything. He did the shopping, he did everything. So when he asked for feedback, the other members didn't feel like they needed to give feedback because, yeah, you will end up doing the thing. So why give feedback, But when you give everybody a responsibility, for example, you tell person A, you do the shopping. And if you do not do the shopping, we won't be able to execute the project. So everybody will be there and we'll all look at you. You did not do the shopping. Why not? So give them the responsibility so that they feel like I'm contributing to a greater good, to the success of this project. And that can be done in various ways. Bigger responsibilities, smaller responsibilities. But that's something we could think on. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
This is something I also tried on my committee.
Yeah.
People who are so active, I'll be like, okay, you do this or you do that. And even coming up with projects, I would ask them what do they want to see happening. I even created a survey one time asking the club and projects that they want for club service. So I feel like them feeling like they're part of it and they're contributing a bit more.
Yep, I like that. We also did that because usually the board comes up with an idea or with a vision. We want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this, and we will just have you plan it and execute it. This is our vision and etc. But what if we involve them in our vision? What do you guys think we should do? What do you guys love to do? Where do you see yourself in the club? What do you want to do? And when people say, I want to have a lime or a sing-off, a karaoke, and when you, all right, then let's do the karaoke, then they automatically become involved because you're involving them in the vision of the club. And when we ask for feedback, it's kind of automatic that they buy in. if it's not, then something's very wrong at that point, but let's not go so far. So that's a good point, what Sharon said. Sharon, yes. Ask them what they want and try to work with that. Utilize their talent also. That's a good one. Utilize the talent.
And then, sorry, Lorenzo, I know you're coming
Go ahead.
to the end, but a best practice that worked with my club, and again, got club of the year in that year, cough. From the May, before the year even started, we had a committee brainstorming session with all the various committees and all the members to get buy-in on the specific project that they want to do. So this is the May, and we planned ahead for the entire year. But we also noticed that there will be some new members that would join after the planning is done. So what we did is that we did a new member project. So all the new members were assigned to one specific project that they all did. And from that session, we're able to identify, okay, this person could be a good assistant director or secretary or, you know, different roles in the club from the get-go. So that's another best practice that you could use in your clubs.
I like. And it results in you guys turning best club. Yeah. So we could take that one into consideration also. I see some claps from Sharon. Okay, I don't know how much time we have left, so let's please compile everything that we have now. First, let's assign a presenter. Between Sharon and Farisha, who wants the honor?
Maybe they can do one each.
Yes, perfect, Brian. Thank you. Let's see. I think Sharon, I think you could do the beach cleanup, and Farisha, you do the not buying in from members to a project resulting in that being canceled. Agree? Perfect. Okay.
Silence is consent, right?
Sharon agreed in the chat. Just waiting on Farisha.
Okay, that's fine. But can you assist me with the pointers, please?
Of course I can. What I wrote down, the best out of the bunch for now is to have a competition where people create art pieces of the before and how, and those art pieces are made of the recycled materials. And you can also have a trade activity where you could, let's see, what's this again? You learn to make wooden signboards to create no dumping trash signs. Yeah, I think we could zoom in on having the competition, and you could bring that very big. You could assign schools, the public, you could create it to a whole island competition. I don't know. Those people will automatically attend because they want to compile their own trash, their own recycled material that they could make the wooden structure or art pieces with. When that is done, you have the competition, and this competition could also be another activity. It could be a concert on that same beach. So that's an option, and you could present it like that, if I'm not mistaken. So I just did the whole presentation myself. My God, excuse me. But I think you could do it better. Correct?
This is for the beach cleanup. This is the one that Sharon is going to be presenting, right?
Oh, sorry. Correct, Sharon. I'm confused. This is the beach cleanup. Sharon, you got that? Or should I repeat?
Can you repeat, please?
Berlin, so you could drop the document in the chat. I don't know if it was a word or something. Where's doing it on?
Let me see if that's possible.
Or copy it into the chat. I don't know.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to use you guys to say thank you to our two facilitators, DGN, Brian, and DRRND, Relinzo. Thank you very much for your input, your experience. And I always say sessions like these are always wonderful because we get to hear insight from all different backgrounds and years of experience and stuff. It's always welcome. you know, and then we get to get the best thing out of it. So while Rolenzo is doing that, don't leave us yet, because remember, we need to get what he's sharing, because room 3, you know, we gotta look good, so once we're finished with that, we then go back to the main room. So I'm gonna just drop that link in there for you guys, but Rolenzo should be sharing his bit soon. And we want to thank also Kareem, who was our host for this Zoom as well, and of course our interpreter, who is here with us, right? We thank you.